is think of the work world, of the professional world, as an issue of whether you're an employee or an employer, if you've got a job or you've got a business, right? Sometimes I fall into this habit as well. I mean, we all do. We think of it in those terms, but actually this is the incorrect way of looking at the problem. Rather, you should be thinking to yourself, what are you selling? Because we are all selling something, right? A laborer is selling his time and his labor, by definition, right? And he's just selling his time to an employer, right? But it could be that you are, say, the employer, you are the owner of the factory, and you're selling a widget, right? That's what you're selling. And it could be that you are an entrepreneur and you are building businesses in order to sell those businesses. See, it's important for you to realize what it is that you are selling. What are you offering on the market, right? And of course, what you want to be doing is offering something that no one else can offer and that a lot of other people want. That's the whole idea of hype, for instance. Yeah, I mean, what is hype in anything? In hype, what it is that you are inflating the desirability of something or someone or some product or whatever, right? You are saying that this thing, this widget, oh, you got to get it, blah, 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 blah. It's so important. You got to get it. You got to pay whatever is necessary. You know, yeah, that's hype. It gets people excited, thinking that the thing that is on offer cannot be gotten anywhere else, and it's something that they desperately want for whatever reason. See, that's the notion. You are constantly selling, and so you have to figure out what it is that you're selling, so you are able to position it in a way that will maximize your benefit. Let me give you a negative example. You graduate from college, right? Right. And you graduate from college, and you are one more college graduate out of a pool of about 1 million or maybe 2 million. God knows how many kids graduate every year from American universities. And let's kick in the UK and whatnot, Western Europe. 2-3 million college graduates, right? And they're all graduating. Are you offering anything different to prospective employers? No, you're one of 3 million or whatever the hell, right? You are offering something that can be gotten easily anywhere else. And so is this smart? No, of course not. Because if you're selling something that can be easily gotten, if you're selling something that anybody can acquire, well, they're going to acquire it cheap. And since they know and you know that what you're offering is, you know, just unremarkable, right? They're going to lowball you. They're not going to pay you much money. Of course not. But if you are offering something unique, if you're offering a specific skill set or some ability that nobody else has, well, then it's a totally different story. Let me give you a very, very simple example. If you're a doctor, are you going to make a lot of money? Not necessarily. Maybe yes, maybe no. There are lots of doctors. If you are a brain surgeon who knows how to operate on brain cancer, for instance, are you going to get paid a lot of money? Yes, of course, because the skill that you are selling is almost unique, or very, very few people have it. And so, of course, supply and demand kicks in. You know, the less supply of something, the higher the price. And so you, a brain surgeon, are going to get paid through the nose, right? So therefore, it would be worth your while to go to med school and to become a doctor and then to specialize in brain surgery and whatnot, to become this person who's selling a very unique skill set. But see, brain surgery takes a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, okay? There are other things that you can sell that don't require that much skill, but that remain unique. For instance, if you invent, say for the sake of argument, a very good phone app that does something that everybody wants. I don't know, it's hypothetical, right? Well, then you don't really need that much skill compared to, say, a brain surgeon, but you're going to get paid as much money, if not more money, than the brain surgeon. You see what I'm saying? And it could be that you're an employee for a big corporation, but you are, say, for instance, and I know actually a guy who does this, you are a very skilled negotiator in, say, wholesale foods, right? This is actually not a very common trait or common ability. There are relatively few guys who know how to do this and know it well. Okay, you are very good at negotiation, and more to the point, and why it's hard to come by, you're an honest guy. You're not going to cheat your employer, right? This is very rare in that particular industry. I know this because an insider told me. So the point is, see, somebody who's like that, who's very skilled at negotiating with wholesalers and is exceedingly honest, he is going to get paid through the roof for that particular skill set. Yes, of course, he's going to be an employee. He's not going to have his own business, but he's going to make a lot of goddamn money. You see? On the flip side, of course, you can have a flower stand, for instance. A flower stand, your own business, you're independent, right? But you're not going to be making a hell of a lot of money because there are thousands of flower shops. Yeah? It's not that big of a deal. And so you see, the issue is that, see, you want to be selling something, irrespective of whether it's your own business or you're working in a corporate environment, but you want to be selling something where there are very few people offering what you have. That's the point. And if you can sell this, or more correctly, if you can identify what makes you unique or makes you one of very few, and highlight that, hype that, raise that up in your profile, whatsoever it is, then you can get a lot of money for it. You can sell at a higher price this thing that you have. And it might not be obvious. You got to think about it. I mean, it's not easy. But if you can identify this thing that you have, that other people want, and that only you have, or a few set of people have, then you can make money. And ultimately, that's what you want to do. You want to make money. You want to make money off the time you have on this earth. Because you have to be thinking to yourself that your time is finite. There is a finite amount of time that you can be in the workforce. And time is the most precious thing you have, because there is no way to get any more of it. You can't buy it, you can't beg for it, you can't steal it. Time, once it's gone for good. And so what you want to be doing is, if you're going to be selling out in the workforce, in the modern economy, you're going to be selling what you have. You want to be selling it at the highest price possible for the least amount of time spent as possible. I mean, you don't want to be spending, say, 40 years trying to build something and eventually in 40 years selling it for a ton of money. No, you want to be doing it as quickly as possible. And so that's why it's so important to identify what it is that you are selling. Identify what is that unique thing that you've got. Let me give you another negative example. Back in the day, when I graduated from college, right, I wrote a novel, a thriller, right? It's sort of like a James Bond kind of thing. It was god-awful weird, but anyway, I did it almost like an exercise. I really wasn't thinking clearly why I was doing it. I thought it would be fun to do. And I wrote this thriller, and by just sheer chance, I wound up finding a really terrific literary agent, and she sold it for a pot of money to a big publisher. I made a lot of money. I did not realize at the time what had been sold to the publisher. I thought that the publisher thought that, I was a great guy and a great writer, and it was a great book, which is just stupid. I didn't realize, because I was dumb, that what the publisher was buying, or thought that they purchased, they thought that they were buying the next Robert Ludlum. They thought that they were buying the next guy who's going to be this writer of airport thrillers, who's going to deliver on a consistent basis these airport novels, these silly thrillers that you can read on a flight from LA to New York in one go, right? That people enjoy and forget and throw away, right? But they make a lot of money. They're all bestsellers. They make tons of money. And it's actually extremely difficult to do this, okay? By sheer luck or chance or whatever, I was exceptionally good at this, but it was sort of like by luck, okay? But anyway, that's for another conversation. The point is, see, when I sold this book back in 96, 97, right, I didn't realize what was being purchased. I didn't realize what I was selling to people. I thought people were just buying my great book. I didn't understand that what I was selling was this commodity that was extremely specific and extremely lucrative. It had never occurred to me. I just thought, I'm a writer, I'll just write whatever. I didn't realize that what it was expected of me was to write thrillers, write this kind of book that would be read on airplanes and make a lot of money for all involved, for the publisher, the agent, the editor, and of course me. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize what I was selling, okay? And it happens all the time that people do not realize what it is that they are actually selling out in the open market. Don't make my mistake. No, don't make my mistake. Figure out what it is that you are selling. Figure out what the thing is. It's so important because it can save you so much misery. Yeah? Because so many guys slave away at some job, some project, and they are not thinking clearly what it is that they are trying to sell on the open market. I know a guy who was trying to make the best chocolates possible, okay? The guy loved chocolate, and he was one of those weird autistic guys who thought that, you had to come up with the perfect chocolate, okay? And it was just, I just thought it was weird and dumb, but whatever the hell, right? The guy slaved away on like building like a chocolate business. He could have been extraordinarily successful, but what he was trying to do was sell chocolates at Hershey bar prices. He didn't realize that what he was actually trying to sell was high-end, hyper-exclusive chocolates that he could have sold for, $300 a pound. No, he was trying to sell them for $0.25 a pound or something. He thought that he was trying to improve mass-market chocolates. He wasn't thinking about what he was actually selling. And so because he didn't know what he was actually selling, he wasn't pricing it right. And what happened to him? He went bankrupt. He went bankrupt and wound up going back to an accounting job that he fucking hated. And he worked as an accountant, and I guess he still is. He's my age, and I've lost track of him. But the guy, he had his moment of trying to do this chocolate factory back when in his 20s, and he failed because he didn't recognize what he was actually selling. Know what you're selling. Know what it is. Identify the buyer of what you are trying to sell. I mean, if you are doing something, whatsoever that may be, figure out who is the buyer. And then once you figured out the first buyer, try to figure out the person who would pay the most. Which possible or potential buyer would pay the most for the thing that you are selling? We are all selling something. We are all selling either our labor or our time or our skill set, something. So we have to figure out who is the client for this thing that we are selling. We figure out the client, the first client, and then we figure out the best client. And then we target that best client. We try to offer what we are selling to that best client. In my own case, what I explained of the book writing, right? By happenstance, because of this rather brilliant literary agent, I stumbled into the perfect buyer for what I was selling. I didn't even realize what I was selling. Okay, I didn't even think of it. In the case of this buddy of mine who set up this chocolate factory and whatnot, yeah, he didn't realize who he was trying to sell to. And so he never found that perfect buyer who would have purchased his chocolates, $300 a pound or whatever, or even better, that great big company that would have bought his little company for a ton of money and kept him as a CEO of that little chocolate factory and marketed it worldwide, and everybody would have been happy. Everybody would have made like tons of money. You see how it's so important for you to figure out who is your best buyer and what you are selling? Because that's what we're all trying to do in this modern day economy.